You all have heard of the Japanese War?
Yep.
Bit and pieces here and there.
Yes.
Ini very detailed. Okay, now this is the Japanese occupation of Sarawak is represent the dark years in the history of Sarawak, and this is a very, very important historical event that we all should know. And many terms were used to describe the Japanese War. Perang Jepun, masa Jepun, musim Jepun, zaman Jepun. The correct term is the Pacific War. For the very reason that this war involved nations around the Pacific Ocean, namely the United States, China, Indochina, and then Indonesia, and part of New Guinea, and also most of these South Pacific islands, the one in red color. So in 1942, 1 year after the war, this Japanese occupied most of Southeast Asia. You see the red color here. So this is the Japanese punya conquest, maximum conquest. So you can see here the countries that the Japanese occupied, and a sequence of historical events leading to, during, and after the Pacific War. So we must see the big picture first. So we start with the pre-war years, what happened before the war, during the war, after the war. So pre-war years, what happened in Japan and in Sarawak here. So Japan before the war, what happened in Japan before the war? And then what happened in Sarawak before the war? And then events in Japan leading to the war. There's the pre-war years. Then the war years, we have the attack on Pearl Harbor. That was the beginning of the Pacific War. And before that, the Americans were not involved. Only when the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor, the Americans were involved in Second World War, even in Europe. So the Pacific War started when the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor, and then followed by the invasion of Southeast Asia and the occupation of Sarawak, and then followed by the liberation of Sarawak by the Australian Army. And when Japan surrendered, it was the Australian who liberated Sarawak. So Sarawak came under the Australian military administration for 7 months, 1945, 1946. Then Sarawak became the British Crown Colony, and later on a state within the Federation of Malaya. This one already come under the history of Sarawak. So we end here. So we start from the pre-war years. We do it systematically. Then you can follow. So what happened in Japan before the war? So this is map of the Japanese archipelago. So the word archipelago simply means sea containing islands or group of islands. And Japan is a small country. It's only, if you see Japan here, is occupied half of Borneo Island. Half of Borneo Island, you see here? So this is the size of Japan. But it's got 6,852 islands, mostly volcanic. Nothing you can plant there. No natural resources, no oil, nothing. Just simply volcanic island. So what happened? Its economy depended on limited natural resources, and the main basis of economy is light and heavy engineering using imported raw material. They don't have raw material at all. And thus, as population increase, more lands and raw materials are needed. So, in anticipation of the needs mentioned, some powerful members of the Japanese government embarked on an expansionist policy. And in 1931, Japan invaded Manchuria, which the Japanese saw as a country with limitless supply of raw material. And taking advantage of the political unrest in China, where the communists were fighting the Chinese government, Japan attacked China primarily over control of Korea. So China and Korea they have a lot of natural resources. So Japan, because of the small country, they don't have anything, population become larger, so what else can they do? They cannot expand, they cannot make Japan a bigger country. So they invade all this big country. And this led to the first Sino-Japanese War, 1894 to 1895. First Sino-Japanese War. And the Chinese leader, Chiang Kai-shek, resisting the Japanese attack, find US support. And the Western powers imposed trade sanctions on Japan, which further make the Japanese very angry. And the Japanese forces bogged down in China, badly needed oil, natural resources, and labor. And for this reason, they turned their attention to Southeast Asia. So China is about 20 times the size of Japan. And to prolong the war in China, the Japanese need oil, natural resources, and labor to prolong the war. So that's why they come to Southeast Asia. And this led to the second Sino-Japanese War, 1937-45. Actually, the war started in 1937, but Pearl Harbor in 1941, that was the start when the British fought the Japanese. So 1937 to 1941, they're still fighting in China. And that's about it, the background of Japan. Now, Sarawak before the war. What happened in Sarawak before the war? So, were there any Japanese in Sarawak before the war? Yes. So you know, huh? Sarawak's first encounter with the Japanese was in October 1910, when this gentleman came to Kuching alone. And the purpose of his visit was to survey land at the Samarahan district for rubber plantation on behalf of this company. And as Japan is a small country, the Japanese had been encouraged to go out to look for natural resources, which is lacked. Very much, that was the year of depression. In America, they have all these gangsters coming up. People don't have enough work, not enough to eat. So the Japanese encourage their people to go and look for resources elsewhere. And the third Raja approved 1,000 acres for the planting of rubber. By 1918, the rubber estate had expanded to 3,000 acres with about 100 Japanese employees and their family. The rubber was exported directly to Japan. Apart from the rubber, some 200 acres of land were planted with rice. Why they export directly to Japan? Because they know that the Japanese is going to have a big war. And this is the picture of the Samarahan estate. Any of you have been there? Think of all these Japanese, about 100 of them. Not all of them were planters. Some of them were geologists. Some of them, they sniff around Bau area to look at the mercury mine, things like this, sniffing around where oil is. They know where the oil is. They know where the mercury mine is. They know where the gold mine is. So these are the people. They dress quite modern in those days. Now, this is the Samarahan one. You all been here? This is on the road from Samarahan to Baki, along there. Next to it is a secondary school. So inside the oil palm here, this is what you see. The shrine, Japanese shrine. This is the old storeroom and prisoner of war. And along the road, you can see this one. At that point of time, they are using this steam engine. So this was steam boiler was taken from the big ship and transported them to run the electricity. So this Marahan one. So one of these days we'll go there. So before the war, there are two Japanese hawkers were very popular amongst the local Kuching population. One was selling firewood from house to house, pulling his cart all the way from Matan. Now, so another was a man carrying bamboo poles, selling all sorts of cheap shirts, towels, and children's toys. He advertised his presence by playing harmonica. You know what's harmonica? Mouth organ. Now, Madam Nakano Ogawa, wife of Edward Parnell, managing director of Sarawak Steamship, she was previously married to a Singapore Chinese businessman. So she established a flower shop at Koo Hoon Yang Street was popular among the European ladies. Her Sunday curry lunch was also popular among the senior government officer. So I don't know what the curry will taste. It's just like asking the Penan to prepare what they call that, some European dishes. Now, these two hawkers, during their spare time, they go fishing on the jetty, the wharf, fishing, but actually not fishing. They're actually measuring the water level, high tide, low tide, high tide, low. So everything, they were actually spies, you know. And they speak fluent Chinese. People thought they were Chinese, but they fought in China, and they were Japanese officer, intelligent officer. So before the Japanese arrive here, 3 days before the Japanese arrive, occupy Kuching, they disappeared into thin air. And they were the one who led the Japanese troop here, because they have all the information. They draw the plan, everything. They go to the village, they draw the plan where and where and where. So they give full information to the Japanese. So these are the people. And they disguise themselves as hawkers. So Japanese businesses in Kuching, we have Seijo Kuno, operated a herbalist and acupuncture shop in India Street. He married a Malay lady and converted to Islam. His new name was Muhammad Taufik, better known as Muhammad Japun. He even became Ketua Kampung, mind you, Samarahan, where he gave religious instruction. There's the places now I show you, the place where they have this, what do you call that, memorial, the Japanese Shinto shrine, same place. And there were other Japanese shops selling Japanese goods like shoes, clothing, bicycles, sewing machine at a very low price. There was also a dentist, Dr. Iwanaga, whose daughter became teachers at St. Mary's School. In 1937, the Japanese Association was formed to promote social contact. See, there was a lady called Rose Iwanaga. She was a very good singer in the 1960s. So these are their descendants. You heard of that? Rose Iwanaga, from St. Mary's School. She sing very good song in the 1960s. Now, by 1941, a social club at the One Road catered for the old settlers and its Anshokai staff. Social club at the One Road, where all the Japanese fled. So during the pre-war years, they were visited by the Japanese Navy. Since the early 1900s, the Japanese Navy and merchant ship have been buying premium diesel fuel from Miri and are familiar with Borneo. So Miri produced the best diesel, premium diesel, that is for their ship, you know. And now we are selling the premium diesel to Saudi Arabia when you get the Saudi Arabia oil here, because we get more prices. So this is a premium diesel from Miri. And Japanese Navy officers paid courtesy call to the third Raja, Charles Wynebrook, at the Astana. In return, European government officers and their wives, together with local community leaders, were given conducted tour of the Japanese cruiser anchored off the coast. This is the Japanese cruiser. Now, this one is speed 35 knots. They're using turbine, not diesel engine. Turbine consume a lot of petrol. It's just like a jet engine, turbine, and that's why this battleship can move very, very fast. You can see here. Now, this is the Astana. It was like this then. Now you have two. Last time only one. This is the original one. This was made in 1980, I think, constructed. This one was Astana look like. 1942, this is what it would look like. You can see the difference there. Now, Japanese Navy officers visited Kuching, 1936. This is in front of the Astana, and then this is the Guard of Honor, the Constabulary Guard of Honor. This is the Rear Admiral. This is Acting Chief Secretary. They were friends in those days. Thank God, because they're looking at the place, see what happened here before they try to invade. So Fort Margarita, headquarters of the Sarawak Rangers, formed 1872 by Charles Brooke, absorbed into the Sarawak Constabulary 1932. Reformed 1941, disbanded 1942. So when when the war started, it was reformed again to become Sarawak Rangers. And when the Japanese landed, they throw away their gun and moved to the Longhouse because they cannot fight the Japanese. The Japanese were 10,000 here. There's only a couple of these Rangers here, so no way they can fight the Japanese. So this is the guard of honor. You can see here the Sarawak Rangers, very, very smart. And then you can see here, barefooted. Here, barefooted. Why barefooted? Because they have to go to the jungle. And if they were to issue with the shoes, the sole become thin. So when they go to the jungle, they're using this traditional iban, with chawat, everything. They go to the jungle like that, not uniform in those days. So this is they also have band, this Sarawak Constabulary, Sarawak Rangers band, and they import these Filipinos from Philippines to teach the people how to play the musical instrument. So this is Sarawak Rangers band. Now, fundraising for China war effort. When war broke out in China in 1937, overseas Chinese community leaders formed China Relief Fund. So they collect of money. School children, flower selling team Cebu, they collect all the fund to help the Chinese. They were want to be conquered by the Japanese, so they have to help the Chinese in the mainland. And committees were formed in early 1938 to raise funds to help the war victim in China. And the fundraising activities and campaign to boycott Chinese goods was strongest in Cebu. The Cebu people are very, very active in all this. So there are 117 Sarawak youth left for China in 1939 to become mechanic, drivers or technician in the Chinese resistance. So they have to build this road from Rangoon because part of China here, all the coastal area already occupied by the Japanese. So in order to send help to the Chinese, they have to use the back door. They use Rangoon. This is Burma. They use this road and they have to construct this road, the Burma road here. The Burma road here. This is already a railway. This railway to Kunming. Kunming became the capital of China during the war, because they have to move from Peking. Peking is already occupied by the Japanese. So they have to build this road, 1,000 kilometers in 1 year, day and night. See, 1,154 kilometers of this Burma road. So they have to build day and night. Built 1937-38, and this is how they work. No bulldozers, no machine. They have to hack their way through. Many of something like 200,000 Chinese and Burmese workers. So many of them died of malaria. So at night time they had to work. They had to cut trees with the axe. No, only 1 or 2 bulldozers. The rest they had to use charcoal and carry it. You can see there. 1 year they built this road, 700 over miles, across this terrain, treacherous terrain. You see, this is the kind of road they built. Very, very, because it was heavy rain there. So they have to use this to supply the Chinese. 200 of these truck, one day 200 will go down, 200 will come up to supply the Chinese from the back door. And they have to climb this mountain. This is a famous 24 zigzag road. Here, you can see here, this 60-degree slope. And one small mistake, you have to go down 2,000 feet down there, ravine, very treacherous. So for every turn, there's a label there, go easy on the curve. Army punya slogan. You can see how they work. And these are the Chinese from Kuching, from Sarawak, this 117, from Malaya. They are also from Malaya, they are also from Indonesia. From Malaya, there are other Malays juga, other Indian juga, but mostly Chinese youth. And who are these people? You see, this is a memorial erected to the 117 Chinese volunteers who served as mechanic and drivers in Burma during World War II. You know, this place is 3 survivors, August 2016. This is the people, you can see here. This one you can see in Lundu, the one on the bicycle, dekat Shell sana, he died already. This one is in Padungan open of the mechanic shop. This one in Syrian. They're all in a wheelchair. They were the one who unveiled those plaques. So you can see here, and this was from the Chinese Temple Tebuan. Next time when you have time, you go there and see this. Memorial to the 117 Chinese. And this should be in the center of the town, but the government don't approve. So the latest news was that the mayor, Kuching City South, want to remove this one and put it there, put it in their MBKS building. Well, that's where it that's the place where it should be, not tucked away somewhere in the people unknown places. All right, now Sarawak war contribution to the British government. So you can see here a lot of money contributed for this British war effort in Germany. They're fighting against the German, so the Raja collect a lot of money from the rubber industry, Sarawak government. First contribution, second, totaling, what is it, $3 million dollars, you know, $3 million sent to British government to help them in their war effort against the German Second World War. So, there's a defense treaty between the Raja and the British government, and as early as 1850, James Brooke had argued on countless occasions that Sarawak could not stand on its own, but needed a protecting power against predatory countries. So, he sought his protection from his home country, that's England, but was shunned. Similar feelers were sent to the government of the Netherlands, Belgium, France, and Italy, were also unsuccessful. Finally, in 1864, Great Britain granted recognition of Sarawak as an independent sovereign country. Protection was now offered, not asked for, and was granted not in the interest of Sarawak, but for the safeguarding of British internal interests. So, by this defense treaty, Britain should protect Sarawak, have no right to interfere with the internal government of the kingdom, control Sarawak foreign relations, and decide any question respecting the rights of succession of the Raja. They cannot interfere with the internal affairs of Sarawak. On the part of Sarawak, the Raja contributed to the British War Fund to the limit of the country resources. That's what you saw just now. And in return, the Raja expected Britain to take over all responsibility for the defense of the kingdom and the costs of it. It was for this reason that Britain dispatched 2nd Battalion 15 Punjab Regiment based in Singapore for the defense of Sarawak. That is why the Punjabi were here. So this Punjab regiment was raised in northern India, in the province called the Punjab province, northern India. Don't get mistaken. The Punjab, to us, the Punjabi man with a turban, but not so. The Punjab is a country that consists of the Sikh, the men with a turban. They are Hindus, they are also Buddhists, they are also other tribes. So not all Punjabis are with a turban. Here, our Sarawak language, Punjabi, turban. No, it's not right. Correct. See. Now, 2nd Battalion, 15 Punjab Regiment. This is the insignia. And the regiment was raised in India as part of the British Indian Army. It comprises mostly European officers and Indian national, Sikh, Punjabi, and Jats, etc. So their duties were to defend the Miri oil field, and in the case of Japanese invasion, to destroy all important installations that can be useful to the enemy. So one battalion, in those days, full battalion is 1,000 strong. Normally it's about 750, but for the Punjab regiment, it's 1,000. So this Punjab regiment has got 19 battalion. So after the war, this Punjab regiment was assigned to Pakistan, partition of India-Pakistan. So they become the Pakistani army now, under Pakistan, not under British India anymore. Now, the regiment arrived in Sarawak 21st December 1940. The regiment was based in Batu Lintang, site of the present Batu Lintang Teachers Training Institute. Today, in those days, it was a Punjabi camp, barrack, 1941. This is what it looked like. And this is the renovated one in 1960, but the post is the original one. This one was already modified because it became a teachers training college, and this used to be the sick bay. People who are sick, they put here. And next to it, you can see the ammunition bunker. You can still see it here. When you go to, tomorrow you go to this Batu Lintang. Now, recruiting drive for Sarawak volunteer, Kuching 1941. Sensing that the war was imminent, recruiting parade was held in August 1941. That is 4 months before the war started. And taking part were detachment from the Punjab Regiment, Sarawak Rangers, Sarawak Constabulary, the police, fire brigade, air raid precaution unit, volunteer administrative detachment of nurses and Boy Scout. So this is the inspection. This is Lee Gross Clark, the chief secretary. Chief secretary in those days, like our state secretary. So when the Raja go on leave, the British colonial governor go on leave, the next man to take his place is the chief secretary. And he is not known as acting Raja or acting governor. He is known as officer administering the government. That is his title. No such thing as acting Raja like we have today, or acting governor, right? Now, Raja Weinerbrook took the salute from the step of Charles Brooke Memorial. So these they took a salute here. The march past from here to the Rock Road. So the march past, all the people march past. Raja Charles Brooke was here. Charles Weinerbrook. So the French preparation. Air raid shelter at Park Lane was built on massive reinforced concrete to withstand high explosive. It measures 100 feet times 8 feet and can accommodate 80 persons. This is the one that you saw the other day. This one here. Now, similar air raid precaution units were formed in Sarika, Sibu, and Bintulu, but we don't know the place anymore. They're all done. Park Lane used to be called Pig Lane because at that point of time it was very bushy, and a lot of these tried not to be too conspicuous, so they can hide it from the general. It used to be people rearing pigs around that area, so it's quite a safe place to be shielded from the Japanese. Now, this is interesting. You see, entrance from India Street, entrance from Central Police Station. So, this is Kaiju Lane. Kaiju Lane. What happened in Kaiju Lane is very interesting. I think most of you know this one already. And this is the Kuching red light area, the most notorious red light area, and it's just behind the police station of all places. It was legalized in those days because there was no other activities, so it will happen. So that's the argument. And you want to drugs also being sold there. You know, these are the places where you find gambling den, people smoke opium, and so on. And during those days, in the 1940s, a lot of these Chinese migrants from China, and they used to have drugs, opium, you know. So they cannot kick the habit outright. So they still have to take a little bit at a time. So who sell the drug? The police. You want to buy drug? Pergi police station. See? So that was the story. So this is a good way of controlling the drug, in those days. Not many people are taking drug, opium mostly, notorious. But here we also have this madam, Japan. So what happened here? These some of the officers, government officers, European. So what they do was after they go for the Sarawak Club, minum, and then they linger around half drunk. So they go there for massage. These are the massage ladies. After massage, before massage, they were given sake, rice wine, to loosen the tongue. So that this lady will be asking, where are you from? This. So she took it all written down and sent all the information directly to Japan. Informal. See? This is what we saw today. Japanese Espionage Center. Dr. Matsumoto Clinic. This is the 1960, it was renovated. It used to be 2-story, like this one. like any of this one. But 1960 was renovated, Pokwang Goldsmith. So this is number 11. This is the notorious in the street. So the Expansionist Center took place this level. This is new, 1960. So all the information given, sent to Japan, directly to Japan. This is the Japanese espionage spy center. So that when the Japanese landed here, they knew every single officer what they are doing. They have the list. The Capitals got the list. So they're well prepared for that. Now, Japanese grave, you can see this grave here, this marker here. This is the telecom, and then there's a road, the first turn at the back there. This used to be in the center of the road. It was a one lane. But when they built this 2 lane, they shift it there. It's still there. So you can see it very near, very clearly. Now to go there, what do you see? This is the one that shows there. Original grave marker on middle of the road. Grave for 30 civilian. This is the one. You can, the gate is not locked. You can enter the gate. Very clean inside there. This is what it looked like inside there. So our siapa nama tu 10 siapa? Who works with Madam Sakai? Alex used to clean up this place. Right? Any of you know this one? Banyak sih tahu, Right. Now, Proclamation of Sarawak Self-Rule. So this 1941. This proclamation to provide for the future self-government of Sarawak was enacted, gazetted and operational 24 September 1941. And centenary celebrations, so art and craft exhibition, grand fancy bazaar, torchlight lantern procession, marching band and procession by various ethnic groups. And as the big procession passes beneath the centenary arch at Rock Road, 2 Sarawak flags on both sides of the arch fell, with the local people who regarded as bad omen. See? So, the Brooke Centenary, 100 years of Brooke rule. So, the year 1941 marked the end of exactly 100 years of Brooke rule in Sarawak. So, Raja Vaina Brooke decided to give the people a birthday present by changing the form of government. But this is not correct. If you listen to if we go through the history of Sarawak, this is not correct at all. But I just put it here, just for you people. During the past century, the Raja have always had complete power to make law and control the government as they wish. Now Raja Vaina made a new plan to give more power to the people of the country through Council Negeri. So Council Negeri has been here, I think, one of the oldest in Malaysia, our Council Negeri. And 17th November 1941, the newly constituted council met and chaired by Chief Secretary of Sarawak, Cyril Drummond Lee Gross Clark, at the courthouse for the first and the last time, because the war broke out on 7 December 1941. It's about 3 weeks away. So what happened to the Raja, Charles Vaina Brooke? By that time he was already 65 years old. He retired to Australia because he knew if he were to remain here, the first head the Japanese would chop will be his head. So he knew that very well. And many of his European officers volunteered to stay back. They don't want to go away. They want to stay back in Sarawak. So many of them died. Right. The Council Negeri meeting, you can see here. Now, you see any only European and the Malays, you can read there. Why no Chinese? Why no Dayak? What happened?
Dayak still in the jungle.
When James Brooke first came here, the first people he met was the Malays. The Malays were already, they have their own adat-adat Melayu and so on, abang-abang. So these are the people who supported the Raja. So the Raja make use of these abang-abang Malays to go to the interior to help him to administer the country. So that's why they don't have this Malay, the Dayaks were still fighting each other. They're not united there. So these are the people who administer the country. So that's why there's no Dayak there and no Chinese. Right. Now, third Raja, this is what he looked like. And we finish with what happened in Sarawak before the war. Now, event in Japan leading to the Pacific War. Now the war started. What was the event that happened? In October 1941, the Japanese Prime Minister Kanoi and the conservative members of the Japanese government were forced to resign when the aggressive expansionist faction of the Japanese army gained complete control. So now the young army officers took control of the government, and they asked the Prime Minister to resign. They took control. So on 17 October 1941, Emperor Hirohito appointed Army General Hideki Tojo as the Prime Minister of Japan. That's what he looked like, you know. Not nice to look at. His father was also a general in the Japanese army, so he took over. Yeah? So Army General Hideki Tojo, 1941-1944. Now, Southeast Asia was of great strategic importance in Japan's southward thrust to gain access to the much-needed natural resources to sustain the long-anticipated war with China. And before the Japanese embarked on the invasion of Southeast Asia, they had one serious concern: the presence of U.S. Navy fleet operating in the Pacific region. And the attack on Pearl Harbor was a preventive measure by the Japanese forces to stop the U.S. Navy from interfering with the Japanese grand design to occupy Southeast Asia. If you remember, because Japan attacked China and they're sanctioned by the United States. So the United States were not friendly with Japan, but they have a big base in control the Pacific Ocean, the Navy. So before the Japanese could happily sail to South Asia, they have serious problem. They have to think of the American, whether the Americans support them or not. So, following the attack on Pearl Harbor, the United States, Great Britain, Australia, and the Netherlands declared war on Japan. So the moment this Japan attacked Pearl Harbor, all these countries declared war on Japan. And to achieve this end, the U.S. naval fleet based in Pearl Harbor, Honolulu, must be destroyed, so that the Japanese aim of capturing the natural resources of Southeast Asia and the Japanese Empire dream of Greater East Asia co-prosperity sphere can be fulfilled. So now they start the invasion of Southeast Asia. So this is the map of Southeast Asia. Time to coincide with the attack on Pearl Harbor. So the timing was almost perfect. So what they did was, on the 6th December 1941, the task force sailed southward from Cam Ranh Bay. This is Cam Ranh Bay, Vietnam. The Russian, during the Vietnam War, the Russian used this as their base, naval base, deep sea. So the thrust to Malaya for what? For rubber and teak. Indonesia for cheap labor. Borneo for oil. Miri and Balikpapan. Because Miri and Balikpapan produce the best petrol, not diesel. Miri, diesel. But Balikpapan, the Indonesian side, produced the best premium petrol. In those days, they must use the premium petrol for the piston engine. No jet engine in those days. The fighter plane used piston engine. So they fly very high up. So they must use the premium petrol, high grade gasoline for the fighter plane. So they have to obtain it from Balikpapan and Tarakan Island. Okay, now, so those Japanese who invaded Southeast Asia here came from southern China. Now, 1941, the Japanese army based southern China, known as the Southern Army, was under the command of General Kaioki Kawaguchi. So this is the Japanese army stationed in southern China. known as the Southern Army. So they are the people who invaded the Southeast Asia here. So this is the man, Kawaguchi. So now, part of South Asian, Southern Army known as Kawaguchi detachment were deployed to invade Malaya, Java, Singapore and Borneo. So the army that came here is part of this army station in southern China known as Kawaguchi detachment. Detachment from here to southern China, they invade South Asia. Now, Japanese advanced to Malaya and Singapore. So 8 January 1941 to 31st January, 6 weeks. So this is the propaganda. So the attack launch. So the attack on Pearl Harbor was 1 hour later. This is 1 hour earlier. So the timing was almost perfect. So they landed in northern part of Malaya, or this part of Thailand, southern part of Thailand, Jitra Penang, and they go down to Singapore. So this is how they travel by bicycle. Only they have limited truck because they cannot carry too many trucks using the transport. So they use the big truck to carry the heavy equipment or the ammunition. So they themselves, they have to cycle all the way. Now, then the Battle of Singapore lasted only for 2 weeks. So the Japanese, after 6 weeks, they arrived here, and Singapore was the base for these British, Australian, Indian, and local troops. So this is the officer commanding the British, Indian, Australian troop, Lieutenant General Arthur Ernest Percival, General Officer commanding. And this is the general, the Japanese general who defeated him, Tomoyuki Yamashita. And the Japanese forces came. And then this man make a blunder. So he put his men all here, waiting for the Japanese coastal invasion, which never came. But the Japanese came from behind. And when the Japanese came from behind, he withdrew his men too fast to the southern part of Singapore, leaving behind this McRitchie Reservoir. So this McRitchie Reservoir is the water supply in Singapore in those days. So the Japanese threatened to poison the water supply. Like it or not, they have to surrender. So 30,000 Japanese troops managed to defeat 120,000 British, Australian and Indian troops. And his attack was so fast, he gave the impression that his force was superior than the British. So they moved very, very fast. And then he was taken as a prisoner of war and sent to the northern part of China. So later part of the war, they are going to meet again. That we will see later. Now, British surrendered in Singapore 15 February 1942. So Singapore surrendered. This Japan time. And they came just like that. And very easy for the Japanese because they were Asian. And they cook rice and they eat by the roadside, not like the European army. They must have batmen, people who serve them. But the Japanese move very fast because they are very simple people, because they are Asian like us. So they can acclimatize very bad. Whereas the British, they came from cold country, they need to get some time for them to used to this climate. They became sick and all that. Now, this is the surrender. This is Wavell just now. And this is Japanese officers. He has got to carry. And this is where the surrender took place, Fort Bukit Timah Road. And this is the meeting. This is General Yamashita. And he has got to carry the flag to General Yamashita because he is a full general. This one is Lieutenant General, one step below. So he got to go to see him. So they discuss and then they can surrender. And Japanese brutality in Singapore, there's no boundaries. Here, you can see here, Prisoner of war, especially, they use it as a bayonet practice. And worst of all, you can see here, this is a samurai. You can see the head, there's a baby here. You see how brutal they are? And also, this is quite common. They toast up the baby in mid-air and then they use the bayonet. Thing like this. They kill a lot of people in Singapore. And they can use the Punjabi prisoner of war as a bayonet practice. This is interesting. This is propaganda. This is propaganda. So this picture was distributed to all the Allied, the British and the American, to tell them, what happened if they are captured by the Japanese. So this is a propaganda thing. A Japanese officer then approached the American pilot and said, "We are the Knights of Bushido. Of the Order of the Rising Sun, we do not execute at sunset, but at sunrise." This extract from military tribunal. So, we are the Knights of the Bushido. What is the Knights of Bushido? So, Code of Bushido is Japanese Bushman warrior, way of the warrior. So, Code of Bushido is a code of moral principle which the samurai warriors of pre-modern Japan were required or instructed to observe. And there are 7 virtues of Bushido. Number 1, rectitude, righteousness, morally correct. Courage, benevolence, goodwill, compassion, respect, honesty, honor, loyalty. All right. Is there anything wrong here? Why were the Japanese so cruel? Is there anything wrong? All these are good. Why? Because of this one here. Number 7, loyalty. Blind loyalty to the emperor or to the people who gave them the order. Some of the generals were bad, but the emperor got nothing to do. Only the general. So blind loyalty. Whether it's good or bad, they have to follow the order. So if the generals are bad, killing people, the man has got to do the same. So this is something wrong here, the loyalty, blind loyalty. Now, so there's Southeast Asia. Now we come to Sarawak, occupation of Sarawak. Japanese internees in Kuching. We backtrack a bit. Just before the war, what happened in Kuching before the war? Just before the Japanese arrived, 2-3 weeks before the Japanese landed here. Now, on the same day, Pearl Harbor was attacked, 7 December 1941. The moment Sarawak received this news, about 38 Sarawak Japanese males were rounded up and interned at the government rest house. This is the government rest house. Today it is the museum. This is the road. This side is the Sarawak Museum, opposite there. Why they have the rest house? Because in those days there were no hotel. So these British officers, they live in Kuching, Lundu, Miri, all this Barudi. So when they come to Kuching to take a boat to Singapore, they have no place to stay. So there was no hotel, so the government built them the government rest house. And this is more or less like a hotel, very clean, and they're catering there. Some people cooking food, very nice food there. So it's like a hotel, but they call it government rest house. So the women and children were interred at St. Teresa. You don't see this building anymore. It's all taken away, and the new one being rebuilt in its place. Now, the internees were released when the Japanese landed in Kuching on 24 December 1941. So, the Japanese landed in Miri, 16th of December, and because of the monsoon, they had to delay a bit, so that's why they came here a week later. So when the Japanese landed, it was the British who were interned here, the Japanese were released. And 15 December, the Japanese invasion convoy arrived at Miri and landed at Brighton Beach and quickly secured the oil field and airstrip located there. So this is Brighton Beach, and this is the lighthouse, lighthouse here. And this one is here. And to go to this place, there's a secondary school, I think it's secondary school here. You have to go to the secondary school before you reach this place. And next to the lighthouse is Second World War Memorial, commemorating the many Sarawakian, Indonesian, Indian and Japanese who were engaged in developing Miri and Syria oil field that died during the war. So this is the memorial, small one, and also the Japanese War Memorial. You can see here, the Japanese one here, next to the lighthouse. Now, Japanese landed in Miri, 16 December 1941. So, what happened when they landed in Miri? The boat will be 3 miles away, the troop ship, so they have to use the small boat, like this one here, small boat, and they landed, and many of them died because of the big wave. The thing overturned, so they died along the coast. And Japanese army in Miri and Syria, they want to conquer the oil field. But then the oil field was destroyed by the Punjabi, and the people, all those interesting things taken away, and the Japanese were very furious. So they take their revenge on the local people there. And most of the people, they ran away to the longhouses. They live in the longhouses until the Japanese surrendered. Because they're afraid of the Japanese. They want to take revenge because the Japanese were very disappointed. The oil field destroyed. They want to make use of the oil. Right. Now, World War II, Japanese sunk along the coast. You can see here, these are the ship. These are the ship where Santubong, Santubong area. This is Santubong. This is where this ship was torpedoed. And many of these people, they're sending this administrator to administer the working clerk and so on in the ship, and some that one also soldiers also. So they died there, and that's why these are very famous for those people who are fishing ground. And last time, 2-3 years ago, we heard that this one was people salvage all those. They use the crane to take away the metal, solid. So that's why in this Dama area, and when they were destroyed, the ship were destroyed, many of those soldiers were drowned. After 3 days, their body got entangled, washes on the beach. And the Japanese captain came up and get hold of some unfortunate Malays who happened to be around and forced them to extract the half-decomposed body and buried them along the coast. That is why today, when they built this, it was Sheraton last time, that hotel, Damai Beach. It was a Sheraton before. And when they built a Sheraton, there was this European manager. So the Chinese contractor said, we must have this little sacrifice to appease the spirit. Nonsense. We don't want to do that. Okay? So they built a hotel. The first day, opening ceremony, first day, how deep is the swimming pool? 16-year-old girl drowned there on the first opening day, 10 o'clock in the morning. Even today, you can see here, there's a lot of stories. That's why people always get lost in Santubong Mountain, because the people who died in the war, their body not properly, look after, no proper burial, the soul become restless. So you have to believe all this one, right? That's the story. Now how the Japanese landed in Kuching? So this is the main river, Sarawak River here, and they use this Santubong River. They use Santubong River and go to Matang. You can see the pillbox here, this one, Punjabi pillbox. But the Japanese came. The Punjabi were top of this Bukit Siol. So they cannot see the Japanese. The Japanese go through the jungle and came out to the Matang, to this apa nama tu? That bridge. Apa nama tu? Suspension bridge. Suspension bridge. And some of them came to the Astana, put the Japanese flag, some go to Fort Margarita. From Fort Margarita, as Astana, there is the rubber dinghy to cross the river to Kuching. Only some shots were fired in Matang area and also near the Satok Bridge. They are fighting there. But Kuching, there's no fight. So what happened when they reached Kuching? This is the Secretary of Defense, John Lord Knights. This is the man who is the Secretary of Defense. So his headquarters, you can see here, Jalan Nok. So I already told this council to put the S there. So now it has been corrected. Last time Jalan Nok, actually N-O-K-E-S. So this lady, this man, was interned in Batu Lintang. And over the years he survived. And now his daughter live here, Batu Lintang flat. Ada dia punya anak. Because this Batu Lintang means a lot to her. So she was very, very touched. She's from New Zealand, Malaysia, my second home. So she chose to stay in the flat near Batu Lintang College. The daughter is still here now. Tengok, right? Defense Force 1941. This way, John Knox. He was a New Zealander. He was a cooperative officer, and that is why the name after him, because the Henghua community, belakang tu pandai cakap tu. You ask him about his story later on. So that's why they make a lot of money because of this man. So that's why they respect him, put his name there, Jalan Knox. Right. Now, Sarawak last message to Singkawang when the Japanese landed here. There was a message. Singkawang was the base last time, Dutch punya base, and this is the message, pussy in the well, to show that Sarawak has fallen. Now you see here the three flags. These are national flags, Japanese national flag, and then this is the army flag. This is the flag that we normally use. So the navy one you see is slightly different than this one. Different. So when the Japanese came, they used this flag, the army war flag, not this flag. Right. Now, so what happened when they arrived in the Kuching town? They go to the post office, but the people in the post office they already knew, so they start to burn all their document, and then their Chinese staff, their European staff, 6-7 European staff, and they were captured by the Japanese, seized by the Japanese, and they were brought here. And they were tied, hands, everything, from 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock. They were seated on the road. And to tell, the message is the Japanese wants the local people to see the European were in all this handcuff and so on, to tell them, now, look at you people. Last time you called them tuan-tuan, now you see what we can do with the tuan. So that was the purpose, to humiliate these people. So after this one, from here, 6 o'clock, 24th of December, the day before Christmas, they were sent to the Astana. So what happened in the Astana? If you have been to the Astana, you know the tower. Just behind the tower, there's a staircase. Staircase is about 10 feet. Staircase, panjang, 10 feet, go up to the second floor. Below the staircase is rectangular. So that's where they have this strong room. The door, billion door is 6 inches thick, with a bolt the size of my hand. So no ventilation, nothing. So all these European were taken there. The Chinese staff were released. All the European taken to the Astana. And they were kept there for 48 hours. Tight, very tightly. They cannot move. 48 hours. No food, no drink. Until after Christmas Day, 26th of December, they were brought to the police station. Now you see, it's like a hotel. Those days it looked like this. That is the last place that you want to go, in a police station like this. Very drab looking. Now, so, now this man when the Japanese landed. But a little bit about him. This is Peter House. Peter House. Peter House came here in the 1930s, early 30s, as a young man, and he was stationed in Batong, other places as well. And finally, before the war started, he was stationed in St. James Church, Kuap, Kampong Kuap. And there, he wrote a book. After the war, he survived, and he wrote a book in the fairground and talk about his life here. And there he met a Japanese family already here. This man worked with this Samaran estate long time ago, 1920s he came here. And he married a Badayu wife. Now, this is the family. And this Japanese man was my grandfather. This is my grandfather, this is my grandmother. So my grandfather, Japanese, my grandmother Badayu from Kuap. This is my uncle, my mother's daughter. He's already married. He's already married. Huh? Yes, this is my mother. This is my father, English father. So this is my naked picture. Semua itu. Bukan. The ladies, the ladies laugh the loudest, about this, where till you see me now? This is what I look like, those days. This one is me. This one,
so you.
because my mother liked to have a girl, but I happened to be a boy, so she dressed me like this for a while. Okay. Right. So my father was the postmaster working with the third Raja before the war, and he was posted to Cebu. So I was born in Cebu, 1942, and the war started in 1941 before Christmas. So 1 week after Christmas, this Andrew Macpherson, the resident of Cebu, together with all the English staff, including my father, 40 of them, they went away to Kalimantan. They used all the way from Cebu, they used the Rajang, go to Batang Balui, because it's nearer to this Dutch military outpost, Long Nawang there. So they went there. So I was born a week later, and when I was born, my mother brought me to Kuching to stay with my Japanese grandfather. So in a way, I was quite lucky that I have enough to eat, nothing wrong with me. All right? Now, so my father went there together with these European officers and their wife, and Andrew Macpherson, for your information, married an Iban, half Chinese, half Iban, in Kapit. So they have two children, Bujang Macpherson and Bibi Macpherson. So Bibi Macpherson was the mother, Bibi Macpherson, the daughter of Andrew Macpherson, the resident, married a Malay, and they have a daughter who is our minister last time, Nancy Shukri. See, so that's why all the family, they got a European name. Ada nama Paul lah, ada nama Peter lah, Malays, you know. So they follow that one, right? So when they came here, January, they have to travel about 1 month, 3 weeks using boat, like this. Of course, this is a modern picture, but I just tell you how difficult it was. Pakai boat, and finally from here, they asked the Iban to paddle them to the end of the river, braving the rapid. 3 weeks, And 1 week they had to walk in the malaria-infested river, jungle, to reach the Dutch military outposts at Long Nawang, across the border. So there in August, after living there for about 8 months or so, the Japanese came from the Mahakam River, from the other side, and massacred everybody. Men, women, children. The men, they tied up and shoot them. And then the ladies 1 week later. 1 week later, so they asked one of those Kayan people, Kenya, to go away somewhere. So they banned them to death, the ladies and the children. So one of them saw, siapa nama the one who played the sapek last time? Not Matthew Nga, before Matthew Nga, he died already. Tusao. Yes, Tusao Padang was a young boy, he witnessed everything. So he told the story like that. So they sent the Kenya to downriver, give them the dynamite to go and get some fish, to not allow them to see. So the atrocities committed. So this is the people who died, Red Cross Clark and so on. And this officer massacred at Long Nawang, Dutch Borneo, 26 August, September, or between this date. And this is the now the grave was at Long Nawang, and then shift to Tarakan Island. From Tarakan Island now moved to Java. So you can see my name there, my father's name there, Dutch military, that one. So these are the officers who died in Long Nawang. So Dutch War Cemetery in Surabaya. So now the grave from Tarakan moved to Surabaya. All right?
They shoot and firing.
Yes, shoot, tembak. Tembak. Mass grave. Okay. Now, first internment camp Kuching. Now, when the Japanese landed, first internment camp, this building is here. You know, this is the underpass. This is Central Padang. This is the underpass. Going to the museum. This building was here last time. So the first internment camp can accommodate about 30 of it. This is a government bungalow. Called the Zaida building, government bungalow. They put the first internees people without uniform. Prisoner of war, men with uniform. Internees, civilian. All right? Now, they stay here 30, sudah penuh, cannot accommodate, they move to this St. Peter Church. Today is the St. Peter Church here. It was a swampy area before, and the guards were quite not so cruel, the guards, because they were infantrymen. They had no interest in regarding this prisoner of war. And a lot of Chinese women, they risked their life sending food for the European people. Chinese, they helped. Right. So from there, they moved to Batu Lintang. Bigger. So this was the site of the Punjabi camp and renovated by the Japanese to have 9 compounds. Each compound barbed wire. British officer, Australian men, British men, soldiers, priests, women with children, and the rest. Japanese, Dutch officers, they're all separate. You cannot talk to each other. Fence up the whole area in Batu Lintang. And here, this is what it looked like. Batu Lintang camp, 1942. This is Colonel Suga. And he was the one in charge of this camp. And I will talk to you more about him tomorrow. More detail about him. That is the proper place, if you can come. Now, so site of the camp commandant office in Batu Lintang. This is the site of the camp on the hill here. This is a classroom now, and you can see the post. This one here. This is his flag post. His office was here. So he doesn't stay in Batu Lintang. He stayed in Nanas Road. Every day he used a car Where did he get the car? Or the Japanese officer here, where do they get the car? Taken from some Chinese. Forcefully taken from some Chinese business people. They ambil car. You don't talk anymore. I want your car. Sudah. This kind of thing. So prisoner of war, you can see here, what they did was, they have nothing, and then a lot of things going on there. Some butter trading, and then all the earrings, this whatever they have, wristwatch, they traded it for food. And next door to Batu Lintang, the Ong family. Next door to just behind the fence, the Ong family. Ki Chong, Ki Hoi, and all these people there. So sometimes in the middle of the night, they will release some pigs, for the people to eat. And they have a kitchen and anything, rats, cats, dogs who dare to go near the kitchen, within minutes they're gone, slaughtered by the people. Nothing to eat. They even take snail. That's why they call it tokoyong Jepun. Because they eat the snail. Nothing to eat, very, very hungry. Just one handful of rice, nothing. So this is how they live. Now, a light of prisoner of war grave. This is next to Batu Lintang. And this one you can see near the St. Thomas punya graveyard. This one here. You can see memorial written by the nun. And Labuan War Cemetery. And after the war, this was exhumed and moved to Labuan. Looked after by the Commonwealth Commission. All this grave moved to Labuan after the war. They can see this. No more grave there. And Agnes Newton Keith. I need a story. It is a very good story for you to tell. Three came home. There was a book written. You can use Google and still see the black and white movie about this one. So this story is about this American lady, Englishman, the husband. They study in the University of California. So they met there. And the husband was stationed in Sandakan. And he was the director of forest and director of agriculture at one time. Two posts. So he was there. And this lady is a journalist. She writes books. And she wrote many books. One of them is Land Below the Wing. That is the tagline for Sabah. Then they were captured in Sandakan, brought to Batu Lintang. They survived the war. The couple and a son. That's why three came home. They survived the war. And it was Sarawak that became famous. But Sabah got the name. Think of it. That's why we never promote Batu Lintang. Because all this time, Dato' Lim was encouraging the Batu Lintang people have an open day, 1 year open day, to tell the young generation how important Batu Lintang is. Tomorrow I will expand on that, how important. The first university is Batu Lintang, not Malaya University. That you will see tomorrow. This is the Harry. The child name is Harry. There you are, Agnes, Harry, and George. Now, if you go to Sandakan, this place where they stay, Agnes Kids House, not a house, it's a government house, but they call it Agnes Kids House, and it was restored. Restored and renovation, two different things. Restore means put exactly what it looked like. You have to pay to enter this one. It's on the hill, overlooking the Sandakan Bazaar, this one here. So they have this restored and become a tourist attraction. This one. So Batu Lintang can also become tourist attraction. Why not? Now, Sarawak government locomotive World Sources Railway, up to 10 miles only. So present day tourism complex, Japanese 37th Army headquarters. So this became the Japanese 37th Army headquarters here. And here, this Japanese building. So the Japanese built this one. This from Carpenter Street to India Street was one lane before. So when the war started, the Japanese built this one. The timber cannibalized from St. Thomas boarding house, some timber. There are two boarding houses before St. Thomas. One dismantled to build this one, and also some of the timber came from Lundu. And if you read this small little book about the Kuching punya heritage, it says built by the prisoner of war. Not true at all. I already told Ms. Rosa Howe, it's wrong. No prisoner of war ever worked here. Prisoner of war only confined to the airstrip, airport, and the Brook Dockyard, not here. Tapi people don't listen. See? So what happened here is Japanese building, this administrative building. And a lot of these Malays working here, because some, like I told you just now, the story that a lot of these Japanese administrators were drowned. The boat torpedoed in Santubong. So they lacked this Japanese administrator. So they're taking a lot of Malays to work for the Japanese. So that's why now it's become sensitive, a bit of sensitive, you know. We want to promote the Chinese hero, Malay hero, korang lah sikit, because Malay not there, because during the Japanese, they were the one who were on the side of the Japanese, for you to understand. Now, Japanese military administration, August 1942, this man Yamada was recruited by Lieutenant General Maida to be the administrator in charge of the civil affairs. So this is the man who came, and he was the fair and kind man to the local and responsible for the building of swimming pool next to St. Thomas School boarding house and safekeeper of Sarawak Museum. He was honorary colonel. But when you work in the military administration, ada pangkat lah. Whether you're civilian, but honorary. So he met General Maida. They met in Oxford University. Pergi Oxford dia. Pandai, bukan sembarang orang. So he was the one. He was an amateur anthropologist. So he was the one who locked the museum. So if not for him, the museum will be looted because of him, right? Now, he made many friends among the local, and when the war ended, made many visits to Sarawak. So people look at him as a friend, because he was kind to people during the war. And this is General Maida. This was his friend. So this is a very cruel man. So after the fall of Singapore in February 1942, Marcus Maida arrived in Kuching. He was also a very, very cruel man. And his arrival caused a lot of excitement among the local, and the Japanese military and security was tightened. So, very, very bad man. He witnessed the execution of 6 Chinese men accused of stealing petrol. 7 miles were found guilty of their crime and sentenced to death by firing squad 5th September 1942 at the Sarawak Turf Club. Now, where is the Sarawak Turf Club? This is the one. So, this is the hill here. There used to be a Sarawak Turf Club here. And this is the place where the horse racing. 1 mile. One round is 1 mile. We used to run here. So, in front of this one here, the 6 Chinese men caught stealing petrol, they were executed by firing squad. And the Japanese will use the truck, go around to the village, collect some people to witness. He was one of the witnesses. That very afternoon, he flew to Bintulu, on the way to Labuan to open a new airfield. And the plane crashed in Bintulu, he died. Now, the story is like this. This is what it looked like, Dolo, track. See? I couldn't get the picture. Now, Marquis Border was retrieved from aircraft wreckage of Bintulu, 5th September 1942. You see, There is a crash in Bintulu. So his body was cremated to Japan. And this was his place. This was he stayed in the Astana. He was there, staying in the Astana. And the story goes like this. Now, you can see here, this is the old tower. There's a lot of kayuara. Kayuara fairy tree, you know kayuara? Fairy tree, okay? And he wanted to clean this one up, tidy up, paint, repainted white. So he was told by local people, no, because there's somebody here. Kayuara memang ada somebody there, you know, spirit, you know. Oh, rubbish, you know. So because of that, the plane crashed. Another story, this one more likely, because that night before he flew, before first of all he witnessed the firing squad. The morning, afternoon he flew. That night they have a party of pilots, you know, party. And then he was a cruel man. He slapped his pilot, you know, in front of everybody, in front of other officers. So that pilot hati geram lah, nanti kau rasa. So bawa dia turun. And the excuse was, oh, the pilot forgot to switch on the fuel tank. Mana ada today you pass your flying, tomorrow you bawa itu VVIP, boleh kah? No sense, you know. So that story might be true, because he slapped the pilot. So that's the end of him. Okay, right. Now, Japanese military government with municipal council. You see here, all Malays lah. Banyak orang Melayu sini. You can see all the Malays. Maybe one or two Chinese lah. Ada, yeah, mostly Malays. Okay. Now, Japanese currency. We used to burn this after the war by the Gunisek, you know. But if we know, today we keep it, I think can make some money. See? Identification paper. You see how simple it is? Very simple. IC, passport sama IC. Okay? Now, entertainment. Japanese authority permitted gambling farm to operate big town like Cebu and Miri. So cinemas showing Japanese victories in China became a popular pastime in addition to the local bangsawan staged by local villagers. Liquors were brewed from tapioca and rice. And the Japanese Navy band, ada lagi, you see? They play in the museum garden. They play here to entertain the crowd. So, education. So school were only allowed to function to teach the Japanese language. Nothing else, to teach the Japanese language. And school began with an assembly and stand at attention to sing the Japanese national anthem and bow to the Japanese flag 3 times to be patriotic to Japan, ingrain good discipline, acknowledge the Emperor of Japan as the supreme ruler. Now, after the war, I was a boy in Laos. Attend Chinese school, pergi Chinese school. Everybody go to Chinese school because naughty boys lah. All the parents want to get rid of us. Pergi Chinese school, pakai baju putih and black trousers, not trousers, short black shirt, and cap, you know. Pakai cap. The tailor has got to sew the cap, mau beli, and then with a cap like this, and you use a rotan to put here, you know, to make it look better. Everybody was very proud of it. And every morning, assembly, we got to bow to this Sun Yat-sen, the picture, Sun Yat-sen, the Chinese nationalist, those days. We had to bow. I don't know whether you people experience that or not. Pergi Chinese school. 3 times, you have to bow 3 times to the Chinese nationalist Sun Yat-sen, Dr. Sun Yat-sen. So this is my experience. Now, capital headquarters Kuching, this is where a lot of these people were tortured. You see here, this is Sikh temple here, belakang Sikh temple. Then you go to the museum. Now this place is vacant. There used to be a car park long time ago, but now a lot of bushes. This is the house where the Kampitai tortured people. Some of them died here. I think because of these people, nobody wants to buy that piece of land. Many people died here because of Kampitai. Kampitai is the military police, and the Kampitai power is very, very great, you know. Kampitai, not only cruel to the civilian, even the army officers below the rank of captain, they can slap, you know. Main-main kau Kampitai itu very great power. If you are not cruel enough, you cannot be a Kampitai. Now, punishment for offenders was swift, brutal, and effective. Offenders were kicked, slapped, paraded around town with large placards stating their crime, hung around their necks, and beheading or face the firing squad. Habis bateri tu. We take a break ni bateri tu. Around the world enlightened. In those days we used this, you know, the string made of this some kind of aguni string. You soak in water. You see here, tie here. You see the vein here. If this, you have to when it's burned, you burn this vein, and what do you get? Septicemia, infection of the blood. Mati tie up here and burn. Sure, you die because you can see the vein here. The vein got infected by the bacteria. So this is the punishment. And then the most effective way is this one. So they ask you to drink a lot of soapy water and trample on it. They trample on the stomach. All the water come out to the ears. Ears, nose, everything. And after one treatment, I think this fellow is gone forever, you know. Japanese atrocities, they're the most effective one, right? Now, so Second World War grave that you will see, these are the people who died, and died in Kuching prison, in that place just now, that place I showed you just now. These are people who died there. The rest were shot in Stapok area, and they were buried here, next to St. Joseph. This is the memorial there, right? Now, rapes of women were common during the earlier part of the war, and many parents married off their young daughters. Many parents married off their young daughters very early to avoid being taken as hostage to work in the brothel. And that's why this, after the war in 1950, you find that old people like me had a teenage wife because of this. Sayang aku sih datang walau-walau. Radios and gramophone records with European songs were confiscated and destroyed. And even photographs of locals with their European friends were removed from the album. And only Japanese songs and things Japanese were allowed. So, house of ill repute during the Japanese occupation. This is the site of the company manager. He was here last time. The company manager, the site of the present, what hotel is this? Pullman. This Pullman, I got my niece. So, friend from Singapore came. 11th floor. And then, he was in the room. Suddenly, he saw somebody at the window. Didn't say anything, closed. Tomorrow morning he saw, mana ada tempat dia berdiri itu? So, this place is still, I think, that's why there's a hotel dekat itu, Palm Road. I don't know. I don't know. I get excited, you know. Ujung-ujung si pandai. Oh, yeah. That apa dekat itu Ong Ki Hui Road itu apa dia? That hotel. For how many times the hotel was renovated? Until today, the Roxy ambil over. Impiana. Because there's a Hindu grave there. The same thing happened. People don't want to have a ritual before they build that one Hindu grave. That's why how many times it changes hand because of that. So you cannot say you don't believe. Now, located at present day Pullman Hotel, and then we have this Chinese school, Tsinghua No. 1, and then St. Thomas, St. Mary's boarding house. These three. These are the grade. The grade for the younger officers. Kalau older sikit, rank and file. Older lagi, itu for the civilian. Ada grade, jangan main tu. Right. Now, food and commodity supplies. As the war progressed, basic food became unavailable, and the local resort to exploit new techniques to produce whatever they need from their own surrounding. Cooking oil and soap were obtained from boiling grated coconut meat, and of course oil from them was extracted from rubber seed, and clothes obtained from tree bark that you are familiar with. Sugar and salt came from nipah palm. Your subject. That's how. Nowadays people don't want to look down on this nipah punya sugar, but actually it's very good sugar. So now we're going back to that basic thing. Now, fear of the Japanese iron rule make most people from the town areas to migrate to the interior. Less rice were planted because the Japanese insisted to take free of charge part of the harvest. So what did they do? The local instead planted a small plot of rice and supplemented their food with tapioca, sago, and sweet potatoes. If you go to Gundasan, the war memorial there, they plant sweet potatoes and tapioca. Even here in Batu Lintang, we plant tapioca. You'll be surprised tomorrow you find tapioca, because that was the survival crop. Survival crop. Without tapioca and sweet potatoes, many people would die, because the Japanese take their rice. They cannot plant rice. So there's a survival crop. So now we remember tapioca. Today we see pile of tapioca. Nobody wants to eat. They look down tapioca. But kalau war come, then you know what you need. Right? See. So these are sago worm supplied rich nutrient. Right. Pavilion brooding, used as Japanese Information Bureau for broadcasting propaganda. So there's a nickname for it. You remember the nickname?
Wedding cake.
Wedding cake. Yeah, because it looked like wedding cake. And Japanese propaganda, look at this. In Jawi. Wow. See? This is what it means. Try to get the good relationship between the Malays. And the Japanese were the enemies of the Chinese. Chinese don't like the Japanese. They hated the Japanese because of the war in China. And the Japanese want to be in good term with the native because they want to get the rice. And they are going to the jungle. If they are not good to the native, the blowpipe waiting for them. Okay? So that's why they want to be nice to the native. And Japanese wartime Prime Minister Hideki Tojo visited Kuching. It was 1943, middle part of the war. And this is what it looked like again. And towards the end of the war in Europe ended April 1945, and more troops were available to fight the Japanese. So Japanese cargo ships were constantly destroyed by the advancing Allied forces, and food became very scarce for the local people. After almost 4 years of hardship during the occupation, the local people began to turn against the Japanese. And the people of Sarawak played a big role in the defeat of the Japanese. So after 4 years, when people suffer a lot, so they began to hate the Japanese. So they helped the Allied forces to recapture Sarawak. They are more towards the Allied forces. Now come the liberation of Sarawak. So how Sarawak was liberated from the Japanese. Liberation of Sarawak began when the Australian Army Special Unit landed at Barrio, 25th March 1945. We are going to have that this month, 25th, parachuting in Barrio. Big thing coming up in Barrio. And on the 27th of March, ada parachute drop in Central Padang, I was told. Australia and Malaysia troop to celebrate the 80th anniversary of the liberation of Sarawak. Coming September, big thing coming up. And we are going to have this surrender point in Pending Memorial there. And the Australians are coming. Big thing coming up. Remember 9/11. Senang aja. Okay? Now, the second the Z Special Unit was a joint allied special force to train the local native to fight the retreating Japanese. Why they have a special force? Huh? Now, this is the emblem of the Australian Special Force. And in Sarawak, the Z Special Unit was codenamed Operation Semut. In Sabah, Operation Agas. So 2,000 of these men volunteered from the Australian Army, part of the Australian Army. It's called unit, not platoon or something, unit. So the special trained people. And Operation Semut involved airdropping British and Australian commandos into the interior of Borneo. The overall strategy was to collect information and harass the Japanese behind the line in preparation for the coming seaborne invasion of Sarawak. Why do they do that? Why do they parachute in the interior of Borneo? Because the Japanese, they knew that the war is going to end. And they knew also that the natives were not their friends anymore. So they want to take revenge. So if the Australian came from the sea, from the coastal area, to take Sarawak back, the Japanese were retreated to the interior and they will start shooting people in the longhouse. So that's why they airdrop these commandos in the interior to train the native to fight the Japanese rearward. So that's the purpose of this one. So pre-war map, you can see here the pre-war map. You can see here, mana ada itu. This is the only map that I have, not a satellite map. So this American plane B-24 Liberator used for the airdropping of that special unit in Sarawak. This was 16-ton MT, 31-ton laden. Speed not very fast. The range is not far. So they have to strip all the 6 machine gun. All the machine guns strip off, uses a cargo plane to airdrop these commandos. So what happened here? So Semut, Operation Semut in Barrio. So they made a reconnaissance flight. By the time the war ended in Europe, few months earlier, so most of the European, the Australians that fought in Europe, they sent back, the American, they concentrate on fighting the Japanese in the Pacific region here. So by the time 1945, the Americans were already occupied all the island from the Japanese, and they moved their headquarters to Morotai here. And the route of the flight 200, so every flight they have a name. And this is Morotai here, Morotai in the Celebes. So they moved the headquarters here, so they want to fly, airdrop people to this barrio which is here. So because the plane, the range only 2,100 miles, so they cannot make it one go. So they have to fly to this one, to Mindanao, spend the night there, and very early in the morning they will fly from Mindanao to Mount Kinabalu, because this is the place where they can recognize. They have no proper satellite navigation, so they use the Mount Kinabalu as a landmark. First, they go for Mount Kinabalu. From Kinabalu, they go to Batu Lawi, also the landmark there. From Batu Lawi, it's already 5 minutes is already Barrio, so they have to land in Barrio, to airdrop in Barrio, and the plane go back to Morotai. And 200 miles before they reach Morotai, this plane, they saw this fishing boat, so they tried to have a look, and the Japanese opened up with the machine gun. The plane dropped there, and everybody died. After this being now, this is Batu Lawi. If you fly from Miri to Barrio, this will be on your left side. So once you pass this Batu Lawi, then it's already Barrio. So there are 2 peaks there. This is the female, This is the male. So, after the war, the Twin Peak was used as landmark by B-24 Liberator aircraft to airdrop Semut 1 party into Barrio on 25th March 1945. So, what happened? Nicknamed Mount 200 because of the Flight 200. And in memory of the Royal Australian Air Force Flight 200, which disappeared after the insertion of Semut 1 party in the Celebes Sea. Now, this is how the Semut 1 operation, northern part of Sarawak, from Barrio, and then to the northern part of Sarawak, including part of Sabah. And this is Major Tom Harrison. Tom Harrison was the curator of our Sarawak Museum for a very long time. So Tom Harrison, as a young man, he was posted to this part of the world. He studied birds. So he was familiar with the Klabit people. He has been here before the war. So when the war broke out, he joined the British Army, and he was asked to command a section of the Z Special Force because he was familiar with the area. And this is Barrio. This is Barrio, what he looked like. You can see the plane tip there, airdrop, Barrio longhouses, very long time ago, there was nothing there. And Barrio drops on men and torpedoes. You can see here the airdrop in Barrio, and this is the Barrio Klabit chief, Lawai Basari, who saw Major Tom Harrison jump out from the aircraft. Those people, they never seen an aircraft before, never see people jumping from the aircraft. So he was very, very, surprised. And this is Tom Harrison during this sarong, barefooted, and this man using Tom Harrison punya boot. First time ever he ever put on the boot, kasut, the airdrop. And Tom Harrison with Klabit Chief, 1945. Now, exact spot where Major Tom Harrison landed on a swamp down a paddy field in front of Pengulu Nimbat Ayu homestay. You see this in Barrio? You can stay here, but this used to be the swampy area last time. He landed there, but it's a swampy area. Now it's a pond in front of Pengulu Nimbat Ayu. So this is Nimbat Ayu, Klabit Paramount Chief, 1931, 1923. So this used to be his longhouse. Now, in Merapok, Lawas area, this is their punya store, Z Special Force 1. Tom Harrison, blowpipe platoon. So long Bawang, Dutch Borneo. So this was 1945. This is what it looked now. So I went there with some of the guides from, you were there, from Baklaran. You used the four-wheel drive, very bad road, to this place. Now there's an airstrip here. This is the from Barrio, because the Japanese were near Barrio, so Tom Harrison got to move his headquarters at the Kalimantan Long Bawang. You can go to Long Bawang, there's a school there. And this is Operation Semut 2. Semut 2, they operate along the Baram River. And this is Major G.S. Carter. So Major G.S. Carter was a New Zealander. He actually was a surveyor with the Shell surveyor, before the war. So he knew this area very well. So that's why he was asked to be the platoon commander of Z Special Force Operation Semut 2. And he was the one, if you've been to Kundasan, he was the one who started that Kundasan, Major Carter. And after the war, he became manager of Shell in Syria. Shell company manager in Syria, 1950 something. Yeah, so Major Carter. Now this is his train, his men at Long Akah. Today is Long Sun. You can see this chief there. The tribal warriors being trained by Semut officers, Long Akah, Upper Baram. 6,000 men applied. Only 2,000 were accepted. Volunteer. Tengok dia pergi. Semut operation in Upper Baram, native warrior preparing to attack the Japanese. Pakai longboat. Mana ada? Pakai helicopter. You can see here. These are the volunteers, eager to take the Japanese head. Now, Supplies to Semut operation were airdropped during earlier part of the deliberation. So these supplies for Semut to drop at Fort Longakah using torpedo. Long Sun is here opposite, down here. This Fort Longakah. There's a school here, and painted cardboard attached to the canvas parachute. So this is what they call torpedo. Using torpedo, not torpedo, torpedo, because inside here there's ammunition, for storage, ammunition, everything inside here. So they recovered it. Sometimes they drop, and airdrop at Longakah. Now this story, I was there to do the recce for the World War II some time ago, paid for by the ministry. I make a report. So I met this man. He was a young boy, so he was the one who climbed this tree. This man got entangled here, so he was the one who climbed the tree. And at that point of time, he's still living. He married a Penang, and he got a homestay there. Makan, simple meal, one rice, one ikan masin, one or two vegetable, wild vegetable, paku, 25 ringgit each. Teruk betul juga itu. Mahal makan itu. Pandai gila bikin business. But luckily we stay for one night because we drove all the way from Barrio to Miri. Cannot reach. You have to, by the time we reach the long sun is already 5 o'clock in the evening, so cannot proceed. So forced to spend the night there. Now, Operation Semut 3. This is interesting. This is Major William Soshen. He was a police officer, prison officer in Kuching, in the Cebu area. So he's familiar with this one. And we can see the story about him is like this. So he was in charge of this Semut 3, and they operated in Cebu area. And from Kapit, you go up the Plagus Rapid. So a lot of the Japanese wanted to buy rice to the interior. Bawa some Chinese, some workers, Chinese. So by the time they reach a place above the rapid Naganai, there's a Krangan there. So the Iban said, we have makan here first. When they makan there, they already make a plan. This Iban came out from the jungle and slaughter, including the Chinese, the poor Chinese. Kena slaughter juga, for no reason, And one of the young men who did it, who was among those people who killed the Japanese, was Tun Juga. Tun Juga has got a brother. His brother was also the Penggulu there, his brother, and his brother was also fighting with Japanese. So Juga was a young man at that point of time. Right? So in those days, aircraft used to deliver supplies to Semut 3, partly during latter part of liberation in Lower Blaga. So now no more, because the Japanese already retreated to the coastal area, no more Japanese there, so it's safer for this plane to land. This is empty 9-ton. They landed in this river, so along the Rajang River, so they can get a supply. No more from airdrop. Okay. Now, coastal invasion Borneo by the Australian 9th Army Division, 10 June to 15 August. Now the coastal invasion started from Labuan and coming here. And U.S. Army 593 Engineer Boat and Shore Regiment. It was the American who helped the British as well. All the guns, the ammunition came from America. Not many books were written about them because during the Pacific War, General MacArthur was in charge of the Pacific region. And when Japanese was about to surrender, General MacArthur said, Australian and British, you go to the sideline. We go to Japan to take the surrender. We take the victory. So there was not so good relationship between the British, Australian, and the American. So that's why not many books were read. But I managed to get this book from friends from America. The American did help us. Landing craft, jeep, everything, American supply. But not much has been written. The British don't like to write about that because of rivalry. Okay? Now, Japan surrendered. 15 August 1945. You see what happened here? When you have the nuclear war, tengok, Hiroshima, 160,000 people died instantly. 9 August, less people died. And many more died after the war because of this radiation effect. Right? Nah? So, now, the US General Douglas MacArthur signed the Instrument of Surrender, USS Missouri, Tokyo Bay, 2nd September. This is Percival, General Percival, Arthur Percival, British Army, Malaya, and Lieutenant General Jonathan Wainwright. So these two surrendered against Japanese, sent to North China, prisoner of war camp, and they survived and they witnessed the surrender. This General MacArthur. And about the USS Missouri, you see this big ship is bigger than some of the Japanese aircraft carrier. Japanese aircraft carrier is about 30,000 ton, 45,000 ton. I think this Missouri, is now in Hawaii, Pearl Harbor, as a museum. Big ship. Yamashita, he surrendered. So, after the fall of Malaya, Yamashita did not get along well with General Tojo. So he was very famous, Tiger of Malaya. So he was sent to northern China to be in charge of this prisoner of war camp. But when Tojo was dismissed 1 year before the war, 1944, new men took over. So he was taken from China to the Philippines. But then there was atrocities in the Philippines. 100,000 soldiers, Filipinos, civilian soldiers, massacred by the Japanese, by the Japanese Navy. Navy and Army don't get along together. And he came as a commander, but because he got to take responsibility. He never stopped this fighting because the rival between Navy and the Army. So he was responsible. And then he was actually sentenced to death. He was hanged in Manila after the war tribunal. That was the end of him, General Yamashita, but General Percival and General Wainwright survived the war. And the British don't like these two, General Percival, because he made a blunder. Now, this is General Hideki Tojo, and he tried to shoot himself. The bullet missed his heart by a fraction of an inch. So he was nursed to health, and then he was finally hanged in Japan for war crime in 1948. Now, this took place in Kuching here. Yamamura, this is what to Brigadier General Thomas Estate. So this is Instrument of Surrender. Signed, I brought this HMS Kapunda. Now this ship berthed at Pending Point, and this one take place aboard the ship. But the NBKS is going to have this jetty, we have a memorial on jetty to tell about the surrender point, Pending Surrender Point. That will take place 11 of September this year. Big thing coming up. Now, liberation of Sarawak, 11 September. This is a Japanese surrender, 15 of August. 3 weeks later, only then, the liberation of Batu Lintang camp. And airdrop, a lot of this were airdrop. You can see the prisoner now. They're having the nice clothes. Before that, they were using chawat. So this is Brigadier Estik, Thomas Estik. He was the one who liberated Sarawak. And Thanksgiving service, Batu Lintang. So the war ended, and the first person to know about when the war ended was in Batu Lintang. Now this man, he was a warrant officer, and he was a technician. He knew how to construct a little bit of some simple radio to turn to BBC. And the prisoner, when they go out, they will salvage all bicycle chain, bicycle spoke, a little bit of here and there, battery here and there. So he put pieces, and he has got to every night he tuned to BBC. And those people, when the electricity was cut off in the camp, they have to use this bicycle for the generator. Okay, and the man who actually used the generator was given extra food to make him a bit strong generator. So he was the first one, and he got to hide this underneath the fireplace. If he were found out, he would be killed by the Japanese. Yes, British. Yeah, and this is Colonel Suga, and towards the end of the war, and his was bundled up in the jeep, and this is his in the office. This is in the B Borneo using the original one, but when you go to Batu Lintang tomorrow, there's a museum there. That is a replica of this one. The real one is in Batu Lintang at the BCM museum, Japanese flag. And this belongs to Colonel Suga with the character here, wishing him from his friends to wish him good luck. Yeah. And two important papers containing death march were also found in Colonel Suga's office. And first order described the proposed method of execution of every prisoner of war and internees of the camp schedule on 8 August 1945, not carried out. And second order scheduled to take place 15 September. But the war ended earlier because he did not carry it out. Because, briefly speaking, tomorrow I'll tell more about him. He was educated in the United States. So he was a good man, actually. He always gave chocolate ice cream to the prisoner of war children, you know. But he was afraid of his subordinate, Captain Yamamoto. If that captain was to report him to the Kampitai, he will be finished. So he did not carry out this order. So in that way, he saved the prisoner, not like the death march in Sandakan. 2,500, only 7 survived. 6 or 7 survived the war. Here, not carried out because of Colonel Suga, right? In a way, he was a good man as well. Now, many years later, this man, he was a soldier. William Fox, after Colonel Suga was removed from his office, he took this flag and put it in his workshop in Adelaide, I think, Adelaide or Melbourne. And somebody found out. So he wanted to sell to Sarawak government. So Datuk Lim, my friend Lim Kian Hock, he was working in he was an assistant state secretary. He said, no, yeah, you when you come back here, we pay for everything. So they agreed, you know. So this place was given to the museum. This is the Sanip, this is Datuk Lim, and the museum staff. So this, you can see this in the Sarawak Museum. And what happened to Colonel Suga, not only in Kuching, he was in charge of Sandakan death camp. Sandakan atrocities were committed, but he has got no control of these people who commit the crime. So he was responsible. So he was sent to Labuan to be on trial, but 3 days before that, he cut his throat with a kitchen knife. He died without facing the trial. If he were to survive, I think he would be hanged. Right. Now, committed suicide before his trial at Labuan by slitting his own throat with a kitchen knife. So Australian military administration, so when the Australian landed in Kuching, this Ban Hock Wharf, you can see all these Japanese giving the guns to the Australian, mixing together, and send them back to Japan. And Australian military administration, 11 September 1945, 15 April, 7 months or so. And this is Brigadier Thomas Estick. He was the military commander here. He was in charge of the Australian military administration. So he stayed in the Astana. And later on, September 2005, this is the son, Dr. Bruce Esty. This is the grandson, Michael. So Michael is coming here, coming September, to bring the big group of Australians to enactment of the surrender point, 80th anniversary of surrender, Japanese surrender and liberation of Sarawak here. So this is coming with a group. So this is Dato' Lim, this is myself. And we were entertained in the Astana. We thought that we want to see a lot, but our chief minister said, give them some nice breakfast. So we enjoyed the breakfast. They go Astana. First time I've been to Astana. Right. Now, first war memorial, Padungan. Padungan. It was unveiled by Sir Anthony Abel, Governor Sarawak, dedicated to Right Reverend Cornwall, Bishop of Borneo. 1951, I was a boy then. He was, why he was put here, I don't know. Because Padungan was, in those days, there were very few shop lots. Only at the very end, nothing much there. That's why he was put there. So, this is what it will look like. Remember, we celebrate Remembrance Day from 1951 to 1963, I think. Remembrance Day, 11th of September, 11 hour. The armistice signed between the German and the Allied forces in Germany. End of the war, end of First World War. So we have this memorial dedicated to these people who fought for Sarawak. The plaque is no more there. The plaque. This is what happened. You see, no more there. So now they're putting a plaque with the name. Even they put it back. Is the new one wrong? The name also wrongly spelled. You see, the name is also wrongly spelled. I pointed it out. I ambil gambar, taruh di dalam sana. Until today, nothing happened. See, this is wrong, and you can compare here. You see, this is this one is in Kalimantan. A small village in Kalimantan. You see how they honor. You go to Kalimantan side, you see all the memorial well done. Only Sarawak don't have this war memorial. That tells a lot about what we are. So, also in June, 3 months before the war ended, these 28 Miri civilians accused of anti-Japanese were tortured and massacred. Their bodies were buried in mass grave. After the war, the bodies were exhumed and reburied at St. Columbus Church compound. And this is what it would like last time. If you go to Miri, and now it's like this. So we have the memorial now. Now undertaken by Miri Council. This is what it looked like. Already we don't have this one, but we have this one here. Next time you go to Miri. 28 Miri civilians, Chinese mostly, and church people, some of them, betrayed by one of them, by one of those team member. And then after the war, he escaped to Sandakan. They tried to look for him, tried to get hold of him, but he went away somewhere, betrayed by. That's why he was Chinese, shot in mass grave. Now, then it's Batu Lintang. So after many years, this man was, he was the special unit. He airdropped with Tom Harrison, Semut 1, so he came back. Jack Tridia, this is the daughter, New Zealand. This is the man, Jali bin Abdullah. Very interesting story about him. His name was Michael Tiong. Sounds Fuchao, but not Fuchao. Orang from Limbang. No, nothing to do with Chinese. Bisaya. So the story goes like this. It's a very interesting story. Bisaya punya rule, custom, when a lady gave birth, the lady died during childbirth. Bad omen. Kalau ada twin, bad omen. So the lady died having twin. So double bad omen. So they want to bury the dead mother and the two living child at the same time. So this one of the pastor, evangelical pastor, John Busher, knows. They are adopt the baby. Two twin. And during the war, they were put in Batu Lintang, and he's a child survivor, prisoner of war survivor. Today, tomorrow I ask him to be there. Datang ke tidak? See, Jilib, the one with the hat here. So after the war, he was brought back by this Busher, the minister, to Australia. He stayed in Australia, school in Australia for 10 years. Then he came back in 1955, 56, and he went to Syria. I was in Syria school, but he went to technical school, Shell Technical School, two of them. Tough, very tough. Play hockey, play football, play rugby, athletic, very tough. And after that, he works in Shell for a while, early 60s. He came to Kuching, met Malay girl, kawin, masuk Islam. So now, Jali bin Abdullah. So he's old, but he speaks like an Australian accent. And tomorrow, if the grandson cannot bring him, maybe the granddaughter can bring him. So I like him to come tomorrow to show the people what he is. And I want the press to interview him. Okay? Now, Jali bin Abdullah. He worked in the forestry department last time, before he retired. So, this is Jack Tridia, when he was young. When he was young man, he was Sergeant Jack Tridia. He was a medic, army medic. So, there was him, long time ago. So, when he went to Barrio, he met these ladies. Some of them, the survivors, were his porter in 1945. So there was a reunion. His porter. These were teenage girls last time. They're very clubbed girl. You know how to recognize clubbed girl? They have big legs, the muscle very strong, climbing up the hill. So they met again after many years. So a good reunion. So finally, this is the end. So.